Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We are so happy to have you this afternoon here on Wednesday. We cannot wait to help share with you what we have today. We have some great presenters today with us, and I'm so excited because a good friend and her good friend. So we're going to share some great strategies with you. But before we get started, we want to share just our normal housekeeping. Thanks for joining us, and don't forget that this is live on YouTube and it will be recorded. After we are finished, it will be on our channel down below. You can see our channel name, and that's where all of our videos live. If you just want to go through the video library, you can click the subscribe button and hit the bell to get notified every time we go live, and we have a live stream. We're up to 1.2 thousand subscribers in a month, so that's awesome. But we do know that 65% of you are not subscribed to our channel yet, so click that subscribe button so that we can get you notified of all the amazing content that we are sharing with you guys. We're excited to do that. Also, don't forget we have our website, theedtechtraining.palmbeachschools.org. That's where we're also including additional resources in addition to the live streams. Everything that we can find that goes along with this video, we will include on that site as well. And don't forget, over there on the right is your chat box. So you do have to click in there and just say, yes, create your channel, but that will allow you to then chat with us and share your questions. We have some amazing minions over there in the chat with a little wrench next to their name. They are part of the EdTech team, and they are there to answer any questions they can. And then we'll pull up the questions as well at the end for Holly and Tanya if our team can't handle those questions. So with that, I'd like to introduce my two friends, Tanya and Holly. They are here today to talk about the Google Infused Classroom. It's a book that they both wrote together, but it's not about just selling a book. It's all about sharing strategies with you. They are amazing educators. They are passionate pedagogues and love working with educators. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Holly and Tanya. And you ladies can take it away.
Thanks. And I will say we really aren't talking so much about the Google Infused Classroom per se, as much as we're talking about pedagogy in here. In fact, I don't know if we're even going to mention the book. So what we wanted to share with you is how you can use what we like to call infusions, infusing your class with technology in really purposeful and meaningful ways. So first, I'm Holly, and I am coming to you from San Diego. So I feel like from one beach to another. And Tanya, if you want to introduce.
Yeah, hey guys. So this is actually, I think, my fourth or third webinar here in Palm Beach County, and I am a local. I live in Boynton Beach. So I am so happy to be back with all of you, my neighbors, teaching my kids. And I so appreciate the hard work that you're putting into everything that you've been doing for our kids. It's unbelievable how amazing you all are. So thank you for taking this time, which we recognize is super precious. And we hope we'll be able to provide you with some strategies and tips that you can use tomorrow in your classrooms. So Holly, I'm gonna let you start, and I'll kind of jump back in after. Holly's gonna kind of take us away for the first part.
Okay, so I assume that there is a link for this slide deck. If there's not, we'll get one and you'll have one and we'll put it in the chat and you'll make sure to get them. But I do want to, or I guess this link would work. I don't actually think this links work. So when Tanya goes, I'll fix it and put it in there. So if you continue, that's going to be your have to continue to watch the show. But this one actually will take you to one around Chromebooks that I do around Chromebook Infused Classroom. So I just want to invite you. I know that your school district is doing a lot of great things right now, but we put out weekly tips through a newsletter of things that we see students doing, things that we see working in classrooms during this remote time, and even face-to-face. So if you want to get in on that, you can go to infuse.link tips, and then you just put in your name and email address. And I'm giving one out tomorrow that's going to have some really great stuff around Pear Deck and some other things. So wanted to invite you to become part of that community. But as we start talking today, I kind of want to put the focus on our students. And that's what this is all about. And I know that the remote learning time gives us this time to really like, oh my gosh, we've got to learn all these tools and we've got to learn all these things so that we can do this remote learning and be better at face-to-face when we go back. But in order to do that, we have to stop for a second and realize who we're teaching. And you guys in Palm Beach County are a county away from some of the leading Gen Zers with what happened with the kids who at their school shooting said, we're not going to take this anymore. We're going to do things differently. And that's who we teach. We teach kids who are not going to stand for the status quo, and they want to do things like create and make. And they realize that that they live in a generation where they have technology. So when they come into a classroom and you turn that off, they're kind of thinking to themselves, wait a minute, I have access to Google everywhere I am except in this classroom. This is a little odd. And you have to remember that they are the first kids who don't know that there was a Google. There is no part of their life in which there wasn't some sort of technology. Their social circle is global. They like things in bite-sized chunks, and that's what Tanya talked about with HyperDocs, if you watch that. And that's what we're going to talk about today. They just live in a world where right now I have two devices sitting next to me. I have a Google Home and an Alexa, and at any time I can ask them who the third president was. So we have to go a little deeper. And this is why, and I hope why you came to this particular one. We want to teach you how to think about that pedagogically. So we're gonna use the Infused Classroom framework, and not trying to sell a book here, just trying to share this with you. So both Tanya and I have been working with technology environments for 10 years or more. I've had a one-to-one classroom since the year 2000. So as we began to help teachers, we thought, what is something simple we can say that they can wrap their head around? And Tanya, you can jump in anytime.
Sure.
But,
are your slides on the right slide? Just to want to make sure that they are.
Oh, it's not going. This whole time I've been at slides. Sorry. I don't know what's happening.
That's okay. Go. You can just go ahead and click through them. Do you see them?
You don't see them though?
Yeah, I see them, but it's just your it's just the actual
okay. So
the slide deck in Google Slides.
You know why? Because it's over in my other thing. So
that's okay.
I said something because I knew Holly, but I knew this is how well Holly and I have been partners for almost a decade. So I know Holly, and I was like, I don't think Holly's on the right slide. Okay, go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
This is good. I'll just show from here. You're going to see all of my tabs, and you can totally judge me. It's fine. Because if you're judging me based on these tabs, you know nothing. This is like me closing them. Anyway, so when I was talking about Gen Z, here are the people I was talking about. So you have access to that graphic. But here is what we want to talk to you about today. I think that the reason, and I truly believe this, that the reason people are getting technology in the hands of students and of teachers is because we want to use them to do powerful things. And in order to do that, we've got to think of it like this. We don't want to use technology so that we can type a paper or do internet searching. We want to do it so that we can get at what kids know. We want to make their thinking visible. And we can do that so much better with technology. We want to hear from every kid in our class, not just the ones who raise their hand. And we want to allow kids to share their work. And we're going to go through some examples of that today so that when you're sitting down to do a lesson, I don't want you to think, okay, I've got to teach Florida history. How can I use technology? That's the wrong question. You've got to teach Florida history. And how can I know when they know it? How can I make sure that every kid has told me that what they've learned in this particular unit? And how can I allow them to share their work so they can learn best from each other? And those are the questions you want to ask, not how can I put technology on top of this Florida history unit or whatever the unit might be. So we're going to try and help you rethink that a little bit with some of the stuff that we're going to do. But we're going to go to a slightly different framework here. Sorry, it says classroom activity there. That's just in there wrong. Sorry. But we're going to look at something. So we have the Google Infused Classroom, and right now I'm finishing up. It'll be done in days. The Chromebook Infused Classroom. And in the Chromebook Infused Classroom, I talk about that when we have devices, we also want to make students, we want to put students at the center of their learning. And we can do that by using these measures of activating their curiosity, keeping track of their learning, applying and demonstrate knowledge and reflection. But we're just going to concentrate today on how, when they have these devices at home and in the remote learning environment, can we activate their curiosity? Because if we don't do that, and we're not taking their grades down. I don't know how you're doing it in Palm Beach County, but in San Diego County, they can't have their grade taken down. So they're like, well, I'm not going to work. So how do we activate their curiosity so they'll want to do stuff? And one of the ways that we can do that, and you guys have had a lot of training or have the videos out there on this, we can use something like Flipgrid. And we can get their prior knowledge so that we know what we should be doing in our teaching unit. And when we ask kids something about what we're going to go into, even talking about it elicits in their brain, oh my gosh, I really don't know. So I want to show you an example. This is a kid who is asking, we're going into a cells unit. This is animal and plant cells in 6th grade. And before we even begin, before they even know that that's what we're going to do, the teacher asks them, what do you know about cells? And I just want to show you this response, if it'll play. Oh, it won't play because it's not in. Tell me if you guys can see this on your screen. Can y'all see
Yeah,
it?
yeah, you're good.
Thanks. And it'll take a second to load, but here she is responding.
I think cells are what makes up everything around us. They can also be germs and viruses that are inside of us. They're also there can be white blood cells, there can be blood cells.
So she's really kind of off in terms of the way that we're going to look at cells. And so when we start to talk about it, now she has this thing where she's like, oh my gosh, I said something about viruses. Now, does that go with what we're looking at? Not really. And she is thinking about her response based on what we're talking about in class. And that thinking about thinking is metacognitive. And that is like mic drop moment. That's why we have devices. So we can help kids using these devices really spark curiosity and know where they are at the beginning of a learning unit. And better yet, and wait for it, so we can know where they are at the beginning of the learning unit. So then we can differentiate instruction. We can help them along their learning path that might be different from the other kid in the class's learning path. And then I'm going to take this assessment of prior knowledge, and when we're done with cells, I'm going to look at her learning journey over time. And her learning journey is going to be different than the other 24 kids in the class. And that's when you are doing what I like to call the craft of teaching. That's when you are painting a picture of this kid knows this and I can help them in this way. And you're like leading an orchestra in your classroom, oh, more cells over here and more whatever. You are doing the important work, and you're doing it just by grabbing an assessment of prior knowledge on something like Flipgrid. Now, with this, I also have the kids go in and reply to each other and say, oh my God, no, viruses isn't what we're going to, and they go back and forth and they help each other. And then I give them 5 minutes in class to look up plant and animal cells. And then they go back and respond to themselves. Oh, this is what we were talking about. And so that whole prior engagement with the content gives them a little bit of background knowledge that they need to comprehend the content, but it also elicits curiosity. So I'm going to come out of here for a second and kind of come back to the screen so I can see. It's not working. Hold on. Tanya, do you have anything to add? And I know it's just me on the...
No, I think no, I'm here. They can see me. I think that's great, and I think that it's really powerful to be able to start with where your learners are. I think very often we forget sometimes because we get so caught up in our content that we forget that we're not just teaching math; we're teaching Johnny, Susan, and Tim how to learn how to be better mathematicians.
Yeah.
And so I love this idea of like being able to stop for a second and like just get a sense of like where are our learners, and also like where are they starting in their journey and understanding, and also like where are they starting their interests. And I think what's really exciting right now around what is happening in education is our I don't want to say exciting. It sounds like I'm excited about what's happening, because I'm not excited about what's happening. But I think, again, the silver lining here is that we're going to be able to have the opportunity to really rethink what we're doing in the classroom right now. I'm wondering that there you are. So I think that that's definitely something to consider, that here you have this opportunity to rethink the way maybe you would have done something in the past. And it so lends itself to being in a remote classroom, because right now you are kind of forced to use this technology. So you might as well take advantage of some of these ideas. So I'm super excited about what Holly's going to share next. This is like one of my favorite things. Like, this is amazing.
In an online classroom, if you are not activating curiosity, you're losing the game. You cannot win this game if you don't activate their curiosity. So let this be like the first thing you think about as you go forward in this, because if you're going to get on a Zoom call or whatever's being used in your district, and you're going to be like, okay, let's talk about this. Let's take an example on the one I'm going to do right now. Let's take the example that I need to teach math, and I need to teach about perpendicular lines. Maybe I'm teaching 4th grade. Maybe I'm teaching geometry. And I'm going to stand up and be like, today we're going to learn about perpendicular lines. Who can tell me what they know about perpendicular lines? And we go around the class and 4 people raise their hand. It's the same 4 people we just heard from a minute ago. And instead, we can activate their curiosity using this great activity called Thin Slides. So if you like yourself some Google Slides, or you can do it in something else like Padlet, it doesn't matter. But you say to kids, okay, you've got 4 minutes. When you hear the time frame on this, it's going to make you go like, I don't know about that. But really, it works, okay? So you have 4 minutes to look up on a slide. So I'm going to head over back to this thing and hope that my Thin Slides is up there. Yes,
you're good.
No, I just was hoping that I didn't close it. Oh. I'm closing my tabs. Anyway, so Thin Slides. So I'm going to say perpendicular to the kids, and I'm going to be like, go. And here's what they're going to do. They're going to come over here. Well, actually, I have it on my slides, so let me go back. They're going to go back. They're going to go into Google Image Search. And up at the top of Google Image Search are these little bubbles. And I don't know if you've noticed them, because they're pretty new. They're like 2 weeks old. And you're going to find perpendicular in a real world. And you're going to grab that, and you're going to have 3 minutes to put it on the slide and do maybe even not that long, maybe 2 minutes, because with kids, 3 minutes, they'll be, who knows what they're doing. So 2 minutes you've got to put this in the slide. So they go, they type in perpendicular, and they look at the real world examples, and they put it on a slide. They might not even know what it is yet. And then you ask them to do these 2 questions. What do you notice? And why are these important? So the kids are going to be like, oh my gosh, and they're going to look at each other's really quickly. And then you come over to them at their table, or you put them on Flipgrid, or you do whatever, and you say, okay, 4 seconds, go. What do you notice? And they're going to be like, they intersect. And someone's going to be like, there's right angles. And someone's going to be like, you really need it to keep something stable. And in that, you've activated curiosity, because they're going to be like, how are these all perpendicular? How is this different? And it's all from them going into a Google search and looking at it in real world, instead of being like in abstract, the way that my math teacher taught me everything. I would look at the textbook, and they would be like, see image 1.7. And I'd be like, But if someone said, and this takes 4 minutes to get kids activated in their curiosity. So I love this example. I want to show you one other example that I use. And sometimes I'm going to admit I might use it too much, because I love it so much. But if I come back over, and let me find the tab that has, and we're hoping it's this guy. Yeah. We're going to head over and look at, let me head down here to this. So this is what's called a multimedia text set. And most people think of this as being a hyperdoc. This one over here in the gray, that's an actual hyperdoc, because you go through the engage, explore, explain. You go through the lesson design of something. But a multimedia tech set is a doc with links.
I want to just chime in. I did that workshop last week, so they can go back and watch the HyperDoc workshop. That was very specific on how to create HyperDocs. Go ahead.
And thank you, Tanya, because most people get this wrong. Like I was just working right before this call. I was on a call with a school district who was like, oh, we have a 2-minute video for teachers to watch on HyperDocs. And I was like, no way is that a HyperDoc.
No way is that a HyperDoc.
I didn't see that video because there's no way you are talking about a doc with links. And that's what this is. But it's not bad. It's good because this doc with links before I start a whole unit, and this is what I use for PD. I've got to talk about Gen Z learners and I want people to understand them. So I give them this doc and I give them 8 minutes, sometimes 10, to explore Gen Z. They go look at a video, they go read a little article, they look at an infographic, they look at this thing around AI and 5G affecting our learners. And then when they're done and I go to talk about Gen Z learners, they are a little more interested in what I have to say because they're like, oh yeah, that's like that Ellen video, you know? And I put funny videos in, and all they do is they come to this little doc and they click on this and they learn a few things about statistics about Gen Z. Then they come over here and it's a really funny video from Ellen. And then they come over here and it's this kid coming out and he takes a selfie of himself when he's born to kind of reiterate who these kids are. And then they look at the future of work. And I always tell them when we do this, this doc, I say, you have to, by the end of the 10 minutes, you have to have watched the future of work. Because if you don't watch the future of work and what these kids are going to be doing in their jobs, the rest doesn't make sense, right? Like if I'm going to talk to you about what we need to do in this class today, you've got to understand what these kids are going to be up against. So all I do is pass this out using Google Classroom, or I provide a link and Tanya's going to take this next. And they make a copy and she'll show you how to do that. And then they go off and do it on their own. I want to say a caveat I learned from Lisa Highfill, who is one of the co-creators of HyperDocs. I used to have kids put in their headphones and I was like, look at me, I'm the headphone teacher, rocking it, I'm so good. And she said, oh no, Holly, don't have them put in their headphones. You want to be able to know where they are. And then when you hear them get to the Ellen video, you can like go commiserate with them. Like, that's funny, huh? And you can build relationships with these kids in the beginning of the unit because you hear where they are. And she's like, they're going to complain at first and be like, I can't hear the video because his video is playing. But in 10 seconds, they'll be used to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I even get them to put on closed captioning as well. So, so that's super helpful. I teach the kids, especially I mentioned this last week, like the English language learners, to how to like, so if they need extra assistance, you can design, like you can actually show them how to do the closed captioning in the language of their choice. So they really are making sense of what they're seeing and being able to comprehend it with even more depth. This is really powerful. And so the technology really lends itself for that. I love this idea of activating curiosity as well, Holly, but also like to explore new concepts, because I think very often like we'll say to kids like, here's a project. Go do this. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yes.
And then we don't necessarily like provide them with the scaffolding and resources to like teach them about the concepts that they need to learn in order to be successful in the project. And what this really lends itself to having these like multimedia tech sets, not only just to activate curiosity, which is amazing, but also sometimes to like provide some scaffolding to help them research concepts that they need to be learning.
Can I bring a point up? Do you mind?
Yeah.
You know pretty well. So I ran into helping a student with a project the other day around they wanted the kid to do a Greek god or goddess and give them a political campaign based on what you know about political campaigns, and then create this campaign poster for that Greek god or goddess that so they would be running for this political campaign. And it assumed, I guess, that 12-year-olds know about political campaigns. And I thought, and I told Tanya, if this just had this exploratory doc, then they could have gone and looked at kinds of political campaigns from 1920 and then Obama's political campaign or whatever, and compare and contrast before going into this, and then making a political campaign for a Greek god or goddess. Without that, a kid can't do it. And in this example, the kid couldn't do it.
No. And if they don't have any understanding of like the concepts themselves, like when you start talking about like you want to include statistics, for instance, like providing some scaffolding and resources for students to learn about what makes a good statistic, maybe having a multimedia text set just on statistics would be really helpful. So you're providing students with the scaffolding and resources to help them learn about the concepts and make meaning of the information. Because very often I think there's this assumption that like the kids know how to research and they know where to go, but that's a false understanding of their digital literacy skills. Those are skills that they need to learn how to do. You can't assume that just because they are on technology, they know how to effectively search and find the information that we're asking them to find. And so, and very often, even a lot of adults don't know this. And it's not to say this in a mean way. I mean, like, these are those digital literacy and fluency skills that we're all now grappling with and figuring out, because these are the things that, as we're seeing, are essential when dealing and working in this technology space. And so this is a great activity, this whole idea of a multimedia text set. And it seems so simple, right? It's just like a bunch of links that connect to resources, but they're packaged in a way that's meaningful, that kind of guides the learner.
But it's packaged colorfully. So if, like yesterday, I was texting Tanya, I was doing this session, and the teachers were from one of our best schools, probably in the nation. And they gave a doc that had links to resources that was in a white Google Doc with a table with links. And I was like, oh, Tanya, I can't. Like, no one's
sent me a screenshot. She was like, no, why?
What this is.
Yeah, it's working with the audience you're working with. Like, you know, you're working with fourth graders, third graders. Like, you can make it fun. There's no, like, that's fine. It's, and you know, if you've taught elementary, you know, like, you want to engage the kids because that's where they are, right? And so this is a super simple thing. And that's what we said. We wanted to leave you with a concept and a handful of ideas of things that you could do tomorrow. Holly, do you think that it's a good time for me to kind of, okay.
You want me to do the slides over here and that'll be easier, or do you want to share your screen?
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, there we are. There's my screen. And what I'm going to do right now is, here we go. So
can I just say something we sort of missed and you're going to talk about in a second? But that multimedia text set that I made for Gen Z, I didn't make that. It didn't take very long. I made it, but I took another multimedia text set, and this is exactly what Tanya's going to talk about. And I made a copy, and I took out their stuff and put in mine because I don't have time to design that. What do I look like? I'm at this time?
No, nobody has time. No one has time for that. So what we're going to do right now in the time that we have left is we're actually going to show you I'm going to pull up this resource, which is from our girls, Lisa Heifel, Kelly Hilton, and Sarah Landis. They are like kind of like the monkeyers. Is that the right word for it? Like, of the whole, like, they are the creators of this kind of like, they coined the term hyperdocs, and they kind of do a ton of work in this space. And you can find their resources. When I shared it last year on their Facebook group, they have this really great academy that they just started on hyperdocs.co. And there's also this wonderful resource called Teachers Give Teachers, where you can find all these great resources for free. And you can also follow them on Twitter. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to just open up this little tab, and I want to just show you this great resource because I'm going to kind of walk you through it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to force a copy and then create and kind of modify it from scratch. So you don't have to necessarily start from scratch. In this case, you can get crazy, go into their Teachers Give Teachers website, or you can go here on this link that I've provided and see if there's something that might work for you right now. So they have all these great resources that they've curated. There's ones for reading and writing and science and history, PE. So I'm gonna open up right now a couple, and I'm actually just gonna go like this because I've pre-opened them up. And so I thought that it would be interesting to kind of like walk through like how to fix one. So I'm going to start with this one. This is very generic. This is like teaching digital citizenship. And keep in mind, like now more than ever, I feel like this is so relevant considering our kids are literally on their screens all day. And I think it's a really great reminder to like have some conversations about like just balance and all the different elements that like go into talking about being a digital citizen. So this is a text set. And as you can see, you can explore, you celebrate, compare, plan, read, create. Okay, there's all these different elements that you can do. But let's say I didn't want all of these. Maybe I wanted to add like a link to Flipgrid in the middle where I would like get them to go through it and I could give some instructions. So what I would do is I'm gonna go make a copy. So you do not have to press request edit access. Don't do that. The person who created it, poor them, will get all these emails all day long. And I actually I respond to them. I'm really good about it. Like I'll go and be like, you can force a copy. You know? But all you need to do is you go file, make a copy. So any of these that you're finding, you would just go there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and I'm going to be like Palm Beach. I'm going to name it. I can share where I want it in my all my lessons. And I'm going to go, okay, it's going to just take a little moment. I hope that my there we go. Okay, great. So here we go. Now this is mine. I've made a copy and I can go in and I can modify it. So you don't have to, I recommend don't start from scratch. There's no reason for that. If you want, go into that resource that I just provided and just go and search and find, even if it's not the topic you like, but you like the design, go ahead and make a copy and you can fill in the blanks and then you'll get more comfortable. Because a lot of the time, some of the things that we'll do is I'll go into formats.
Where'd you get this one? This is a good one. I like this.
Yeah, isn't it good? It's in the, I was searching through all of them, trying to find the ones I like. It's in the multimedia one. And it's, I think like on the bottom right corner, it's like creative ideas. It was like one of those. So I'm going to go, I can do all these different things. I can go like page setup. I can change if I wanted to make my page like orientation, landscape, or portrait, but I'm going to keep it portrait. But I can play around.
Go file. Go to the bottom where it says page setup.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then you can go here and you can change the color of the background. And I don't think people realize that you can do that. But I'm going to make it black, which is probably not how it works. Yeah. So I can change the background here. These are here. Just if I'm not mistaken, yeah, these. I think she created tables most likely and just kind of leveled out her tables. Yeah, these are all tables.
Yeah, it's a table and she made the border thick.
Yeah. So when you go here and you go insert, just so you can add tables, okay? So this is what she had done. She had created a 3 by whatever. I'm not going to do it. And then what she did is she went over and you're able to go here and change the border width. So she just went in and created 6 points. So you can get super creative. You can change the color of your borders, you can do all these different things. And then she just went here and changed the fonts, okay? And just kind of made it her own. And then all of these are just links. So when you go in, all this is just she's added images and adding images is super simple. And I want to be a good digital citizen, obviously. So I can search for comment.
You can do that straight from the Google Doc, and then you can find out which one's straight from Explore in Google Doc, and you can.
Well, I was just gonna show them Unsplash. So I could also, I could go to Unsplash, which is this free website that allows you to download free beautiful images, and so I could be technology. Because you can do it from Google for sure, there's no question, but they're not always beautiful. These ones are really nice. So like I could go in and just like download it, or like copy image. And let's say I go here and I'm going to go.
John, I'm putting in the link. I changed the link because someone asked about that. So I'm putting it in the private chat for you to put in the public.
Okay, so in this case, I would just download it and then I can add it. So there's all kinds of things that you can kind of do with these. You can find images. Here we go. Paste. And I can make it smaller and move it around on my, I didn't even have to download it. I just copied it and pasted it. And I can move my image around and change the colors of the fonts just by clicking on it and going ahead and changing the colors. So it's really quite simple once you start pulling them together and kind of playing with it. But I recommend that you do that and not start from scratch. Go on in, play with the document, play with the backgrounds. You could do the same thing with Google Slides. Like there was this one, it was on cubism, and she created a multimedia text set, this teacher on slides, and she pulled them together in that way. So you can do it in both ways. It could be like a text set, or you can create a slide deck and have places where the kids are exploring and pulling in you know, some websites and having them click through that to find information. And it would be the same thing, just force a copy and go in and make some changes.
So can you go back to the slides?
Sure.
I put in the link to this slide deck because that was the incorrect link.
Yes, I also put it in the chat box for you, Holly. It's out on the live chat as well. Thank you.
Okay.
Was that the one, Holly?
Yeah, no, sorry, at the end. Anyway, so Tanya, thank you for showing us how easy that is, how we can just go and find a multimedia text set, file, make a copy, and then put it in all of our own stuff. And so that you don't spend forever, you spend instead 20 minutes making a beautiful way to have kids activate their curiosity.
Yes, and do that. I mean, I think that this is meant to be like a very practical webinar. We wanted to just share something that we felt would be relevant to what you're working on right now and totally in your reach. Because I don't feel like this is a super heavy lift of something that you are, like if you already know how to use a Google Doc, it's just rethinking and reimagining the way that you would start the class and how you can kind of connect and package that lesson together so that it's a little bit more structured in this blended learning environment. Well, not even blended, really, it's really just remote. So I want to leave with some questions, some opportunities to see if there were any questions from the audience today.
Well, and like you said, that a lot of people watch this when they have the time. So I just want to reiterate that in the remote learning environment, activating curiosity, I don't know what comes more important than that besides the design and pedagogy behind the lesson, you know, but that is part of it.
And if you're watching this right now and you're done and you haven't watched the HyperDocs lesson, go ahead and watch that one now. Because I feel like if you have both in your back pocket, you're going to be rocking this distance learning stuff. You know, really like understanding how to backwards design, how to plan your instruction with intention, providing students with opportunities along the way to make their thinking visible and differentiating your instruction. So like pulling all those ideas and then being able to activate curiosity and scaffold skills through these multimedia text sets, the combination is like fire. So I really hope that you'll take some time to kind of pair those two webinars and get some ideas. But if there are no questions, and John, please, you know, just chime in and let me know if there's any. I want to just, again, like thank the teachers for the amazing work that they're doing. I'm
They're heroes.
They really are. I mean, we hear a ton about, you know, all these people that are on the front lines, and that's you as well. And be easy on yourself, people. I know I was talking to John this morning about how you know, he'd heard of, you know, some of our teachers feeling like really like you're not doing as as well as you could be for your students. And we know how hard you're working and you're doing the best you can. And so many of you have your own children. And I hear you. I have my kids here as well, and I'm working. But go easy on yourself and just remember, like, the kids are going to be okay. Like, you know, our students are going to learn so much from this experience. And ultimately, like, all of our mental health is much more important right now than anything. And I don't think anyone would disagree with that. So really be kind and be kind to yourself, because you're doing a great job.
I think the message is powerful too, ladies, that, you know, we don't have the assessment, at least here in Florida. We don't have standardized assessments this year. So it's a great opportunity to really encourage that curiosity. Start asking those real world learning questions that get your kids excited about wanting to learn again. Like, start sparking that fire inside of them. As much as it's a big thing in the news for us, kids are wanting to learn now about what are pandemics, what's a virus, how does it spread?
I'm writing a whole thing on it, John, with a person in Palm Beach County about, like, how are we not using COVID as our learning right now, right?
Yes, it's a perfect opportunity to show geography. It teaches so much, statistics, graphing, everything is there, and it's something kids want to naturally learn about. Obviously, we don't want to scare them with it, especially depending on the grade level.
Yeah.
But there are ways that you can use things that kids are naturally curious about and use that to your advantage.
Oh, absolutely. I watched a webinar yesterday, and there was this educator's name is Carlos Moreno, and his quote that he left with, I'm going to quote him, but I just thought this was so powerful. He said, let's choose the uncomfortable right thing instead of the comfortable wrong thing. And given the fact that right now we have this opportunity to really move education forward and really rethink the way we do things, and it might not always be the comfortable way to go, but I think it's the right way to go. And I think now is a great time, as you're sitting in your class and at home, and you're thinking about your learners, and you're realizing, like, you don't have to follow the curriculum in the same way you did because we don't have state testing. Guys, now is this opportunity to show all these policymakers that we don't need these tests because we can teach and we can reach our learners and we can do magical things and have the opportunity to do more project-based learning and make it meaningful. Let's do it. Let's do it.
For sure. I love it. So before I let you guys sign off real quickly, I just want to finish up with our stuff. We have a great lineup for you coming up on Friday. Friday morning at 8 a.m. We're going to have a librarians panel. Last week we had a teacher panel, and that was extremely popular. So this week we're having a librarians panel, how they can help you at your school, and just what role they're playing at school sites as well. In addition, we have another great session from our smart trainers on gamifying your lessons live. And then on Monday, we're going to dive into Keynote and Pages online with the iCloud version online. So you've seen Google Docs, you've seen Google Drive. So now we're going to show you a different set of tool sets. And because Monday is May the 4th, we're going to have a special takeover of May the 4th Be With You with some surprise guests, so to speak. So we hope you join us on Monday afternoon for a lot of fun and some great learning as we explore the dark side and the light side of the force in remote teaching. Right? Great ideas, right?
I love it.
And as always, we have our smart trainers who are helping us support you guys as well. So if you have any kind of assistance, a Google question, a smart question, Flipgrid question, they are there to help you answer those questions because we have a lot of teachers and not a lot of ed tech staff. So please feel free to go to that bit.ly, fill out the help form, and someone will reach out to you almost within a day or so to answer your question and meet with you live and solve all of your questions.
Palm Beach teachers, like, you know, I say this often, but like very few people take me up on it. Like, reach out to me as well. Like if you have any questions about what we were just talking about HyperDocs, about Adobe Spark, I've done some one-on-one with Palm Beach teachers who actually have reached out to me, and I was like, I'm so glad you did. And I had, you know, I did a video call with, I've had 2 meetings. So please,
yes,
you know,
please,
like,
she's right here in Boynton. She's not that far away.
my heart, this is my community, people. Like, you are my community. So please, like, I'm happy to help.
Awesome. So with that, ladies, I will let you guys say a last word, both of you, and then we can end the stream for today.
I'm just honored that you had both of us on, and thank you so much.
We love being able to work together and have an opportunity to collaborate with teachers. So thank you, and keep on doing all the amazing work you're doing.
Teachers are heroes.